black racism on white. I've seen farms being taken over by Mugabe forces, the ZANU-PF people. What is the African Union doing to, when we talk about racism from Africa and we bash the colonists, and we actually are doing that to their citizens right there? What are you going to do to recompensate and rehabilitate those citizens who have been there for 4 generations, 5 generations? What is African Union going to do for that?
Okay, I like the fact that you're putting a timeline there. See, with history, we have a tendency to say, well, let's start the story from here moving forward. But let's not talk about the story going back. In Zimbabwe, you have to say, how did we get there? Let me take 1 minute and summarize it for you. When the British came to Zimbabwe, they analyzed the country and divided it into 4 regions. Region 1 was the best soil, the best rains, best conditions for farming. Region 2, pretty close to Region 1. Region 3, there were some areas there, the soil was not so good, and the rain was good, but not the best. Region 4, no rain. The soil was horrible. Mosquitoes and sesaflies. So they set out a plan. If you were an adventurous British, a veteran of the First or Second World War, you were guaranteed 2,000 hectares. Hectares, multiply 2,000 by 2.2. You were guaranteed that much in Zimbabwe, plus any loot from the local people. So a British man would land in Zimbabwe. So based on the regions that they had decided, they were going to move all the black people, preferably from the region 1 and 2 to region 4. So the process started. And how did a British map up their land? You got on a horse, they'll tell you this region. Get on a horse, and you ride in one direction for a day until either you or your horse were tired. You put your bag. Tomorrow morning, you do the same thing. So it took 4 days for the Englishman to map up his land. At the end of the 4 days, everything in it is yours. And the people who lived on that land were told, in this direction, go past this mountain. In this direction, go past this river. They left with whatever they could carry. The chickens, the goats, the cows, they were theirs. And some of them were not so lucky. You barely settled again when another Englishman came, and he was given that part. And there you were again. Slowly, the process of moving black people to the west parts of the country started, and it was finally completed in the 50s. Now, you want to ask me who needs to be compensated? Are you with me?
Yes.
So we got to go to the beginning rather than understanding things superficially. How did you get your hand? It just goes about how fast you could go. Some of these farmers were owning 5, 6, 7 farms. I know my family farm, and I grew up hearing the story from my own father. When the situation took place in the case of my father, he remembers distinctly, he was a teenager. And he used to, when white men came to Africa with their pants, they called them men without knees. He remembers men without knees coming to the village on horses. There was some hush-hush talk. He didn't know what was going on. But he remembers waking up one morning and the whole village was on fire. They were being torched by these men without knees on horses. His aunt was pregnant and was due any day. So they had asked for permission for her to stay until she delivers. It was one little hut that was left standing in a burnt-out village. They left with whatever they could carry. Sadly for them, Aunt didn't deliver for 3 weeks. My father spoke about how scared he was every morning. The men without knees coming to check and see if my aunt had delivered. There was him, an uncle, another grandmother who was the midwife, and another aunt. They all crumbled up in this one room. When she finally delivered, 3 days after delivery, they were told to walk, go find the others who had left before. Now the loot law, it's in the history books. You don't have to go far. It's in the British history books. As a matter of fact, the British started fighting themselves over how to distribute the loot as they go from one place, one village to the other. It was acceptable. So, son, do you still want to ask me who is owed what? May I rest my case?